What's up? Me back again, Analog Attack. Good morning. Nice to see you.
Good morning, Mike.
How you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing good, man.
I'm sorry to wake you
Really
up
good.
early in the morning.
It's okay.
Yeah,
I'm up early anyway for work usually,
all right, man.
so it's all good.
Today I've got Andrew Orlando all the way from Long Island, New York.
Yep.
So Andrew, tell us
all the way.
Tell us, yeah, all the way. Tell us a little bit about your discography, if you will. You know what you've done.
Oh, about stuff I played on.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first band I was ever was a band called Millhouse from Long Island. I wasn't in the band very long, just a like demo and like a split 7-inch I put out, and then after that I left and started Black Army Jacket. So that is the main band I was in for like 4 years.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of records, a lot of split 7-inches.
Yeah.
Late 90s. That was like the thing to do, split 7-inch, right? So.
This literally arrived yesterday. So thanks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Funny thing about that one, that was like the one thing in the band. Like when I started the band, I said, I have to put out an LP. Like that's my thing. Like everybody stuck on the 7-inch back then, but I was like, the thing I wanted to accomplish was just do an LP and go on tour, and I'd be happy. So we did that. So, and that was a reissue I did a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I remixed it. Retooled some stuff on the music side.
Yeah.
Added some bonus tracks, and did the new packaging. And really happy with that.
Really I haven't had a chance to like A/B it to the original, but I'll do that over the weekend. So.
Yeah, you'll hear some differences, I think, in the guitar tone mainly, and then some of the bottom end, you'll hear some cool stuff. We didn't mess with Dave's stuff too much in the vocals, but because it's like, hey, fills on that record are, to me, like some of my favorite things he's ever played. He just went, like I remember practicing for that record. We practiced a lot because we wanted to make it, we wanted to have a really good performance. We practiced a lot, and once we were in the studio, I was hearing like different things. So I guess because of the headphones, you get more isolation. I didn't hear it in the practice room. Some of the fills he was doing was, I was like, this is going to be amazing. Like this is, really stellar performance by him. So I was really happy with that. And we didn't mess with his stuff too much or the vocals too much in the remix. But the string, guitar and bass, we kind of like beefed it up a little bit to make it a little heavier. Heavier, but our friend Dean, you had Dean on here before, right?
And I didn't.
He's the best.
So funny, like I'd never noticed that when I got out of the Black Army Jacket LP again just before I was going to talk to Dave, and I was like, hang on a minute, like Dean.
Yep. Dean was like a big presence in that scene, back then. Not so much in the grindcore or hardcore scene, but he was in Murphy's Law, and he was in the rock. There was like a big underground rock scene in New York City back then, and like everybody knew each other, and it was a very like cool like vibe. Everybody knew each other, and like he had produced the Killing Time LP, The Method.
He did, yeah.
And that was like, wow, he could do heavy stuff too. So it's kind of like our singer Rob was good friends with him also. We just worked out, we got him.
So cool.
We're still friends with, like, all of the band members are still friends with Dean to this day. Amazing. Because of that time. We had such a great time, just typical New York City people making fun of each other, sense of humor, like nonstop putting each other down. You think that was good? That sucked. Your favorite band is like Whitesnake and stuff like that.
He's such a nice guy. Hang on. You were in Millhouse. Wasn't Artie the singer of Millhouse?
Yes, Artie Philly.
Yeah.
Artie Philly's awesome.
I've never met him, but we've been like online. You
got to get him on. You got to get him on this.
I'll have a chat with him. I'll have a chat with him.
He's such a character. That guy is responsible for the whole Long Island. He's like one of the main players of the Long Island scene.
Wow.
Being what it was and gaining some popularity. And definitely paved the way. He put on some amazing shows.
Wow.
He booked so many good things. I mean, he booked Fugazi. I just put it to you that way. So he booked Neurosis. Like he booked some amazing bands. Wow. It's small stuff too, but the guy really, did a lot for the hardcore scene in Long Island.
Amazing.
You should definitely get him on. He was in a
will.
lot of bands, a lot of good bands after that too. Celebrity Murders, obviously.
Yeah.
You ever hear of them?
No.
Oh, you got to check them out.
Yeah.
Celebrity Murders. It's members of CR and Millhouse came together and did a band together. It's really brutal stuff. If you like Black Army Jacket and stuff, you'll like them. And he was in Concrete Cross, a lot of good bands.
Wow.
So definitely try to get him on.
All right, I will. So we've got Black Army Jacket, Millhouse, and then Monkeybite fanzine.
Yes, I did the fanzine with Gary from Newthgrush.
Right.
So we basically we lived on opposite coasts, right? I lived in New York. He lived in Cupertino, California. So really, we couldn't do it together in person. But I used to go out there a lot and hang out. And Black Army Jacket would go out there. We'd stay with them, and then we'd play like a whole West Coast run of shows with Newthgrush and Be Numb. That was another band we were very close with.
Wow.
But Gary and I, in the beginning, we only had demos out, and we traded each other demos, and we just started writing letters and talking on the phone, and really had a lot of similar sensibilities. And we kind of like, wow, nobody like cares about our kind of music, like slow sludge, fast power violence. Like it didn't seem like the public cared. You know, kids cared a little bit. You know, it was starting to catch on because of Spaz and Drop Dead and bands like Infest, bands like that.
Yeah.
But I think it was kind of like we wanted to do something to document it.
Right.
With like a stupid sense of humor kind of thing. So, and I was really influenced by this zine called Hardware.
Okay.
Hardware fanzine, and we wanted it to be like that, but for our type of music.
Right.
For like a real niche.
Yeah.
You know, power violence, grind, thrash, underground, doom. You know, sludge.
Yeah.
You know, talking about bands like Grief, which nobody talked about. You know, Corrupted, Newthgrush. Those bands weren't really like popular until later, you know, and we wanted to shine a light on some of that stuff. And I think I interviewed Man is the Bastard for the first interview.
Wow.
And that was right after they played at CBGB's, and Black Army Jacket opened that show. That was our first show. We got to open, thanks to Ralphie Boy from
Disassociate. Yeah.
He got us on the show.
Nice.
He booked that show. And Man's the Bastard completely destroyed CB's. They were like, and I'd seen so many shows there. That was one of the best shows I've ever seen at CBGB's. Man's the Bastard. They destroyed, anybody who was there will tell you, they leveled the place. Unbelievable performance. And those guys are amazing. We know they're the gods of that whole scene.
Yeah.
And I interviewed them right after. I think it was like 4 a.m. or something in their van. It was just a lot of fun. You know, it's a lot of fun memories from that time.
Yeah.
Especially with the Monkeybite, you know, stuff. And I'd done a label too at the time throughout the whole existence of the bands I was in, and called Reservoir. And I kind of with the label, I didn't want to do like one type of music, so I would put out like a band that was like pop punk. I would put out a band that was like emo-ish. I would put out a band like power violence type band, you know, hardcore bands. You know, all types of stuff. Indie type bands. It didn't really matter to me as long as I knew them and liked them as people and, you know, as music, you know. I had to have seen them and enjoy their stuff, you know, for me to put them out.
You put out a Corrupted record, right? On your list.
I did. That's a crowning achievement in my cap there. It's a split LP with Newthgrush.
Yeah.
And it got reissued a couple of years ago on $20 spin. But
wow.
I prefer the original. You know, myself. I like the reissue. It's great, but different artwork and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and that's fine when bands do that. It's cool, and I'm glad it got reissued because it was going for stupid money on eBay and Discogs. Yeah, and I know the bands were annoyed by that. You know, and I wasn't gonna repress it, so that label's, you know, over. I'm not gonna like start rehashing records from that era again. But came out, you know, I love that split. I think some of the best Corrupted material and some of the best Newthgrush material. It's like a perfect two bands to do a split, right?
And Corrupted's one of your favorite Japanese bands, right? Maybe your favorite Japanese band, maybe.
Oh, I think Corrupted is my favorite Japanese band, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
It's really from seeing them live.
Yeah.
they came to New York. They came and did a tour of the U.S. and Black Army Jacket played a couple of shows with them, and Ralphie Boy and I, actually from Disassociate, actually picked them up from JFK Airport when they came, when they arrived in the States. We picked them up, and we're like trying to communicate with them was very difficult. They did not speak a lot of English at all. But it was cool.
Yeah.
And we took them to like a diner, you know, like a New York diner. And instead of food, they just ordered Heinekens.
Cool.
So the table was like 20 Heinekens and no food. It was hilarious. We were trying to say, do you guys want food? They said, no, Heineken.
Amazing.
So they were enjoying Heineken. They were enjoying beers. So when they first arrived in New York City, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, if you saw Corrupted live back then, it was just like devastating. Like you couldn't think of anything else.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I'm with you.
It wasn't just noise. It was just like their music was, and their tones were amazing. And you know, Shu hit really hard, and he was able to cut through the loud instruments and heavy. Great stage presence. Man.
I love watching Shu drumming too. He's just got. You just want to like what I used to like watch him a lot of the time.
I agree, and Shu is a great guy. And I just remember, like, I had never seen any other really Japanese bands. You know, I had never seen Death Side. I'd never seen Crow. I never saw SOB. I never saw the classic, you know, Bastard. So I like those bands and I love that stuff. But seeing Corrupted and doing a record with them, and just they were my favorite at the time. And,
cool.
I still take that spot, I think. But you know, I do love. I did get to see Death Side a couple of years ago. They came to New York City, and they were amazing. So that I was very fortunate for that. And you know, I love Japanese hardcore, but you know, Corrupted is like my.
I'm with you on that. I mean, they've got so many records, like split singles and albums, but live it's really like a different.
Try to find my favorite one. I pulled it out.
Oh.
Aside from the one I put out, of course, you know, I found it. That's my favorite Corrupted record.
That's a good one. Yeah.
98. It originally only came out on CD. Remember the
right.
CD slipcase? I have that somewhere.
Yeah.
But my CDs don't get a lot of love these days. You know.
Me neither. It's tough.
No, they're in a box. You know, they're in a box. Especially the odd ones that are just like slipcase. You know, that one came in like just a slipcase. I'm sure it probably goes for stupid money now.
I know.
On eBay and stuff.
An effort with the CDs, but it's hard. They're hard to love.
Yeah. That is a great one. Those 3 songs are just like, it's like an album's worth of just insanity to me. You know. Yeah. So I love that sound. They really had that nihilistic guitar sound, right?
Yeah.
It was just like I don't know. Yeah, as a guitarist, just. Like, how did he do it? You know, like, how did he do that? And I play heavy music. I know the tones, you know, but it's just like, I just watch him. I'm just like, damn, how did he get that sound? You know, just total like annihilation, like get away from me type music, you know, I love it.
I saw them like with Dystopia in Osaka one time, and it's this really tiny place. I mean, just the size of a tiny little room. And it's just like, you know, unbelievable.
Must have been. Yeah, they played a lot of tiny places around here when they came.
Right.
And it was like, this is the best. Seeing Corrupted in a small place, I don't think it could be matched, you know?
No, me neither. So Andrew, the reason we
sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Before you go, they played on Long Island, and like there's like a lot of like hardcore kids there.
Yeah.
And it just went
yeah,
right over that. They were into it, but it was just like
yeah. The first
like some were blown away and some were just like
that too. Because in Osaka they would always play with the real like fast, crusty bands like Gloom and all those kind of bands.
Right.
And so they are a real big contrast to those kind of bands, you know. But once you were won over, you're like, yeah, this is like something totally incredible, you know, so heavy.
Totally.
Unbelievable. So Andrew, we kind of got to know each other through Dave. I think that's how we kind of hooked up with each other, and like No Echo. So tell us a little bit about No Echo and the interviews you've been doing and stuff on No Echo.
Yeah, so No Echo is, you know, a website by Carlos Ramirez, from Black Rubber Jacket. He's in a lot of bands too. And he's, he started with another guy named Andrew he did a website called The Version Online. They came together and did that. And eventually, they
didn't know
they
that
started that together. Andrew Version. Yep.
Wow.
Great guy.
Wow.
So eventually Carlos, I guess they split off and he went on his own, and Carlos just made it like contributor based.
Okay.
And anybody can send him stuff, which is real. And there's no ads,
Right.
You don't have to pay. There's no like paywall or anything like that. He has a Patreon for it, but really it's really become a great hardcore and underground resource for a lot of bands to get their name out, without having to like do the publicity thing and all that crap. You know what I mean? Like Carlos, like he'll put anything you send him, he'll put up, if it's up to snuff, So he was doing those record collector interviews, and a lot of them were just because people would answer like one-line answers. And like I felt I wanted more like information.
Right?
Yeah, a little bit. I was like, this person, I follow that person on Instagram. They probably could tell you a lot more than they're giving. So I started like just the one I started with was Roger from Agnostic Front. Roger.
That was your first one.
That was my first one.
Damn.
Yeah. So him and I had become friendly through collecting and stuff, and texting and stuff. And I had back when I used to travel for work, don't travel anymore. I used to go to Phoenix, Arizona a lot for work.
Yeah.
So he lives there. He lives in that area. So we said, let me meet up. I'll do this interview in person. I can take good pictures of all your stuff. And it really
I read that interview and I was like, this one has a bit of a different vibe. It's because you did it in person.
I did it in person.
Conversational, yeah.
It was much better.
Yeah.
It's always better that way, right?
Right.
Yeah.
He has like the best record collection ever. It's like
for the stuff I collect, yes.
Right.
For New York hardcore, he has like every single artifact that you need, that I need, and Misfits. I mean, I'm a Misfits collector. He has like everything possible. I think he's missing like one record, but it's like some stupid version of Legacy of Brutality or something like that. It's like one of those transition colors or whatever. And he has like some of the most complete Earth AD color collection I've seen.
Amazing.
Just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And his punk stuff's really good too. It's really, really, really good collection. I was like, not surprised, but it was really cool to see all that stuff in person. He actually let me hold some stuff. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Never thought I don't think I'll ever own this record, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean,
so yeah, and then I was like, you know what? Let me just start interviewing friends that I know that are collectors, because I know them and I know they have really interesting stuff and interesting perspectives and takes on this stuff. So that's really what I've been doing. I originally I was going to try to get like people like on Roger's level, like, other musicians that are like in prominent and stuff. And I was like, no, it's not the way to go. The way to go is go to your friends and get,
like me.
the real deal. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was honored to be asked.
You get the real deal, get the real story,
Yeah, I was honored to be asked by you. So thanks for that. So
I saw once you started putting up certain records in, your conversations, and your deep dives are really good into genres. Like I learned, I love Leatherface, and I was like, wow, this is like, I'm learning a lot here. That's one band I wish I had more records by. I only have Mush, but
yeah, they have a lot of
I
guess too, like mostly the 7 inches and stuff that
I wish they would just reissue them instead of like people boot them like crazy.
There's a bit of a backstory about that just came out recently about their contract with Fire Records and why the records haven't been reissued and this, that, and the other. But they're trying to get
so many bands like that. So many bands like that aren't being reissued that it's like a shame. I'll just say one.
All right.
And Assuck. I mean, how is it possible that you can't go and buy an Assuck record from a distro or a it's a shame.
It is crazy, and
it's a shame. It's like they're one of the most godlike bands of the 90s, right? They influenced everybody.
Yeah,
they were amazing live. They put out amazing records. Those should be able to be heard, even on they're not even on streaming.
No.
You know.
And so like those two LPs were on Sound Pollution, right? Am I right? One was on Sound Pollution.
They're both on Sound Pollution.
Yeah.
They both were. I have one here.
That's funny because Ken from Sound Pollution also did MCR Company in America, and I used to do the MCR UK. So
you used to do MCR. You were MCR Japan?
I was UK, and he was USA.
UK, I'm sorry.
Yeah, after Relapse, like he took over from Relapse. It's so funny. Like,
see, I didn't know that was you.
Yeah, it's me. Yeah,
That's funny.
Yeah. But that's a record that kind of like, we'll get to it maybe, but it kind of deserves to be expensive in that kind of used market kind of a way, because it's a great record, but it should be available. It should be repressed and should be more available.
Yeah, there's so many records. Like I just picked one example, but we could probably name like 20 examples, right?
Yeah.
of bands that like, how is this stuff not available? And even on the metal side, like, how is it that you can't walk into a store, any record store, and buy this record? It's not in print.
Yeah, that's funny because I found like a used copy of that for like a few hundred yen, like just a couple of months ago. But that's like was a fluke.
It's dumb. It
was a fluke.
It's dumb like that. That's one of my original copies. But like, it's like a record like that. They're part of the big four, right?
Yeah.
You could buy Rain and Blood, Master of Puppets, Peace Sells in any record store you go into, pretty much, right? Yeah. But you can't buy Among the Living. You know, it's like the something is screwed up in their catalog there. I mean, they put out like deluxe versions and weird versions of it. It's like, no, just put out the record that people want, you know?
Yeah, as it was, yeah, absolutely. I agree. So like in the interview you did, like you sent me, I answered a bunch of questions. So let's kind of turn the tables a little bit and use those questions to nerd out about some
Let's do it.
Great records.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So how did you get into collecting records, Andrew?
So me personally, like I was around 12 or 13 years old and I just started buying tapes. Like I saw like this is the record that got me into it.
Nice.
Buying tapes.
Yeah.
So I bought like the cassette of this back then, and you know, stuff like this too. I bought the cassette of Sabbath.
That's funny. Me too. Yeah.
This is my favorite Sabbath collection.
But we didn't really understand what that was all about when we were kids. We didn't really get it. It's like, is it an album? Is it a greatest hits? We were like, what?
It's a greatest hits collection, but I didn't know that at the time. I thought that was an album. I'm like, this is the best album I've ever heard.
Right.
You know, and you know what? You want to hear something really funny? I didn't have a lot of information back then because I was kind of like going it alone on the tape thing. Because I grew up in an area where there was a lot of, you know what Guidos are? You know what a Guido is?
It's like
Italian type you know, wannabe tough guy Guido. So I didn't get a lot of influence from my friends, you know, about music until a little bit later.
Right.
And I found, you know, Van Halen just from seeing them on TV, Kiss, you know, obviously, Twisted Sister, you know, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, obviously, and Ozzy. And you want to hear something hilarious? I didn't know Ozzy was in Black Sabbath.
Wow. I mean, why would you?
Like you
couldn't just look that stuff
up.
So dumb. Then, right?
Right. You couldn't look it up, right? And then I put the two and two together later when I started reading it.
Sounds similar to
Sabbath
that guy.
cassette. I'm like, Ozzy Osbourne. Wait, it was like crazy, you know? But so I started doing cassettes, and then the thing that really, you know, cassettes were getting like, okay, I got all these cassettes, but then I walked into this record store one day and I saw the display of this. When I saw that ruined me. I was like, I have to get this on record, because on cassette it looked like I was looking at the cassette version too next to it, and I'm like, this doesn't compare. It doesn't compute to me.
Right.
Like, I have to get this on vinyl. And I got it, and I was like, holy shit, my life changed after this record.
So was that the first Iron Maiden that you heard, or did you have some of the early?
No, I heard Number of the Beast.
Okay.
I heard Run to the Hills.
Right, big hit. Yeah.
My friend's stereo.
Yeah.
He had it on cassette. He didn't have the vinyl.
Damn.
So I didn't know that Number of the Beast wasn't on this. Not Number of the Beast. I didn't know Run to the Hills wasn't on this.
Right. Yeah.
So I was trying to talk to the guy in the record store, and he thought I was talking about the Trooper. Right, but that's fine, you know.
Yeah.
And so I got this, and this is like still my favorite Iron Maiden record because
I can imagine if that's
it's the first one. It's the first one you got, you know.
Yeah.
I love the whole Bruce era, though. You know, up to Seventh Son. I love Number of the Beast, the Seventh Son. I love those records, but I do love the Paul Di'Anno records. I got into them later, much later.
Right.
You know, then I went and revisited. You know, after.
Yeah.
But I'd always see Killers painted on people's jackets. Like the dungaree jacket, like when I was young, really young, I was like, what is that? It's like crazy, you know? And then it finally clicked for Peace of Mind, but a little late, but hey, you know, it's a great record to get into. And I like Nico. Nico McBrain is great drummer, man.
One of my first gigs was Iron Maiden with Paul Di'Anno, and Trust was the point.
Oh my God.
Trust was the point, which is the band that Nico was in before Iron Maiden. So that was one of the
that's a double whammy. That's a double whammy.
Plus, I didn't know. Just this French band, I had never heard of them, but they blew me away too. You know, like I still remember. It's 1981. Yeah, Killers.
Yeah, so from Maiden, you know, it's the downward spiral, the death spiral into Metallica. You know.
Yeah.
Anthrax, Megadeth, and Slayer. Man, that's my Slayer was like when Slayer happened. I'm trying to find it. The record that Slayer record somewhere. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No.
I did pull it out.
Wonder what record
there we go.
Show no.
You know what record I'm talking about?
Raining Blood. Yeah.
That's the best one, man. Come on. But you know, I celebrate their entire catalog pretty much.
Really, the entire?
Oh, I mean, not entire, but maybe like I don't hate the Paul Bastoff records. You know, the ones after. No. And Dave Lombardo did the Christ Illusion one is pretty good. The comeback record. They did the original band came back, but the God Hates Us All is a good record also.
Okay.
You know, but that's the one that really, like, once I heard this, I started going into like, oh shit, I need something more. I need something crazier, faster, heavier.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like disconnecting from the lyrics a little bit too. Like lyrics don't speak to me. I was starting to get more into lyrics, you know,
right?
And what they were talking about. And I do like the lyrics on this record. I agree with the anti-religion stance and all that. But then I started getting into like suicidal tendencies.
Yeah.
Crumbsuckers, DRI, COC, you know, those classics. And then once you get into that crossover stuff, that's when I got into Agnostic Front, you know, and like that's what's less like. Once I heard this record just kills me, man, every time. Victim in Pain.
Yeah.
But I that's not the first one I got.
Okay.
The first one I got was Cause for Alarm.
I love that. That's actually that might be my favorite. I think that was maybe the first one I heard too, actually.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's got a little more crossover feel to it.
Yeah. It's really
Pete Steele wrote some of the stuff, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
But and then when I like went back and heard that, I was like, well, holy shit. And then I was like, after that, just like all hardcore. Like it was like I went from the metal kid to the hardcore kid. I didn't get into punk or metal. I didn't get into punk or hardcore through skating like other people or new wave and stuff. I got into it through metal.
Me too.
So it's through metal into hardcore. I had that transition period and right in.
We are exactly the same, except like the years are a few years apart. But basically, it's really similar. Like Iron Maiden,
like after
a Motorhead, and then into like
I love Motorhead too.
But just like the same, but just a little bit different. The time.
Yep. And then like from '87 on, it was all hardcore for me. Okay. And it was a really cool time because in '87, like Revelation Records started. So like they were putting out stuff like this, and I'm from New York City, so like I was able to get all this stuff like the first day it came out.
Sick of it all.
You know, and that's like I'm from Queens, and my wife actually went to the school where they took this picture.
I was going to ask.
Taken,
yeah.
it's in Flushing, Queens, by the way.
Right.
And Sick of It All is like our Ramones. You know, I love the Ramones too. They're from near where I grew up. You know, very dear to me. Love everything they did, but Sick of It All is like our Ramones, you know. And then this one too, man. This one too. That's a big one for us, you know. Their hometown. Sick of It All and Gorilla Biscuits are like hometown heroes for us.
Nice.
So that they can do no wrong because of their from. You know, when the band is from your area, they're yours, right?
Yeah.
you have an invested stake, and you know, I saw all their first shows like when they first came out and stuff, you know. So CBGBs, like seeing those bands at CBGBs is like
what were those gigs like, man? Like Sick of It All at CBGBs back in the early days.
Wild.
Yeah.
Dangerous a little bit too.
Yeah.
But I was lucky. I had some older friends who kind of like shepherded me there. They brought me there. They introduced me to people. I wasn't like a stranger to some people. So I wasn't really very active in the pit. I was more of like on the side, stand on the side, take pictures, you know, things like that. So I wasn't like this big mosher guy. So I was never in the thick of it where I was getting in trouble, you know, with tough guys and stuff. But you know, what I like about these bands, when they played at CBGBs, they left it all out there because they knew it's their time to shine. And it was a very competitive scene. You know, a lot of bands playing on 4 bands on one show. If you didn't bring it, people were standing outside. They didn't care. You know, if you sucked, that was it. You know, I had never seen Sick of It All ever have an off night, matinee there. And I saw Sick of It All before the pandemic. They did a show with Agnostic Front. In December 19, before the pandemic. And I couldn't believe how good they were still. They still were amazing. I was like, they're like the best hardcore band of all time. Just from that they're still doing it. They're still like killing it. Well, you know what I mean?
I kind of realized
they outlasted everybody. You know,
and one of the few hardcore bands that put out like so many full lengths as well.
Yeah,
they have so many albums, and like there's not really any really weak records in the catalog. You know.
Yeah, there's something good on every record. Listen, you know, nobody's going to put out a perfect record every time, but you know, if you buy a Sick of It All record, you're not going to be steered wrong. You know, no matter which one you get. You know, I like the earlier ones myself. You know, that's just the ones I came up with. You know, but I always give the new ones a chance, and I always try to go see them when they're, you know, semi-local. They actually played a show in Queens with Agnostic Front back then in December 19, and they were amazing. We were like, wow, they still got it. So, you know, that's really like my hardcore story. But after that, I started, you know, New York hardcore scene became very violent and tough guy oriented and stuff, and that wasn't really for me. I went back to college, and you know, I started working like full time, and I really wasn't too involved in the scene. But I did get one record that destroyed my life. After the hardcore scene, in New York hardcore scene stuff, I bought this 7-inch.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Bleecker Bob's Records in New York City. I found this, bought it based on the cover. Didn't even know what it sounded like. I said, I got to check this out. I looked, there was like, you know, 10 or 11 songs on it. I was like, this is, when I heard that, blew me away. I was like, this is the kind of music for me after that. Fast, hardcore, you know? And I always wanted to be in a band like that after that. They influenced me so much. And then when I saw like Spaz and Drop Dead and bands like that doing it, there were more contemporaries. I said, wow, you know, Infest was just a huge influence on me and so many other people. You know, they put out like such an amazing 7-inch, an amazing album, right? This one.
Yes.
Such a, I think that one's orange. Such a classic. Like, unbelievable. Also, you ever see this one? The Flexi?
No.
Okay, this is Slap-a-Ham number 1.
Slap-a-Ham number 1.
Wow. So it's a Flexi split with an amazing band, Pissed Happy Children. PHC, baby. PHC. One of my other favorite bands of that era. You know, and this is such a cool Flexi, man. It's like Thinking,
hang on, that's an 8-inch flexi, right?
It's an 8-inch flexi, correct? It's blue.
Yeah.
Numbered by Chris.
Definitely influenced by Japanese hardcore, because there was a lot of 8-inch flexis back in the day in Japan.
I would say yes.
Yeah.
Or if you talk to Chris, you should get Chris Dodge on this. He'll probably tell you, oh, the pressing plant had a deal on 8-inch flexis. I don't know if that's true, but I could see Chris saying that.
There's probably a bit of both, the Japanese hardcore thing and that as well. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
And but PhD, you know, PhD is pre Man is the Bastard, Charred Remains, you know.
Yes, yeah.
Well, before PhD, there were Pillsbury Hardcore.
Pillsbury Hardcore, yeah.
And, you know, you had Sean on guitar, Eric Wood on bass, and Joel from Man is the Bastard on drums. Then they switched to the 3-piece.
Right.
And I like PhD a little better than Pillsbury myself. I just think they have that more like visceral, you know.
Yeah.
They did that, what, that 7-inch Vigilante? Unbelievable. I have it somewhere. I don't know. Somewhere in the pile. I got piles of shit over there, dude. I'd pulled out of here for you. But yeah, they did that 7-inch Vigilante in that album, Piss Playground, and that's huge influence on me too. That's another band. Big influence on me to, you know, for music, you know, playing music. And that was that one I think I mail ordered from Chris Dodge, just based on the ad in MRR. There was like an ad, and I said, this is like, and I it was before I got the Infest 7-inch, so it's like, this is something I have to get, just based on seeing the ad, and like it was humorous, you know.
Very, very distinctive ads, and you know, very different, not your stereotypical.
Nothing about Slap a Ham was stereotypical. They were like such. Chris is so ahead of this stuff with, you know, putting that kind of music on the map. I mean, he really is the king of that, you know.
I should show this because you put it in the record that you sent with me, and I was like, wow, this is an amazing flyer. You must have some memories of this, the Fiesta Grand.
Yeah, we played that show. Awesome. I mean, it's kind of a blur now.
A long time ago, right?
I can't remember a lot of specific memories of that particular show.
Right.
I played at Gilman like 3 times.
Yeah.
And I remember the other times better than this one for some reason.
Okay.
I don't know why. I went to a couple of Fiesta Grandes as a spectator. I went to like the 2 previous to that.
Right.
Just as a fan, I flew out. You know, that was like the big thing. Holy shit, you're going to Fiesta Grande? Yeah, let's go. You know, it's that was like the big fest back then, you know, for us. You know? But I don't think Senseless Apocalypse played, or man, it was. I think Senseless Apocalypse didn't play.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't believe they made it.
Like 2 Japanese bands, like and then like Slight Slappers on the second day, right? But
okay. So I remember Slight Slappers are great band.
Yeah, insane live band.
Those guys were characters. We played a show, I think the day before or the day after that, in San Francisco with them and Be Numb. And we just got like drunk, blazing drunk. Those guys got us drunk, man. We really didn't really get drunk back then. Those guys got us wasted. You know what I mean? I wasn't even like drinking that much. They were like just fun. You know what I mean? Like, you know those guys at all?
But for some reason, the Japanese bands can seem to do it. Like they can just drink and they still like play perfectly, like every time.
I don't even think they were drunk before. It was more of like after the show.
All right.
It was like in a bar, so we stayed there.
All right.
And like they were just like wild. You know, we were like, these guys are awesome, like punk, man. It's really cool. You know, they were fun. A lot of fun. Those guys are a lot of fun. I miss those guys. They were fun.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So was that Iron Maiden record the first record you bought with your own money? That Peace of Mind?
That on vinyl, yes.
Yes.
That was Peace of Mind was the first vinyl record I bought with my own money. Unfortunately, that's not the copy I bought originally. I had to upgrade.
Yeah.
Mine was completely destroyed. Seam splits on all sides. Where like a motherfucker.
As it should be.
That's like crazy.
That's how it should be, you know? Like,
I know, but it was to the point where I was like skipping on every song. I was like, this is bad. You know, back then, I didn't take great care of my records. Some I did, some I didn't for some reason. Some I still have, some I don't, you know.
Well, I talked about that, and that when you asked me, we just didn't, you know, you just didn't think about that. You just left them out of the jackets. You enjoyed them. You spilt beer on them. You didn't.
We weren't vinyl speculators back then.
No.
About, oh, what's the future value of this?
No.
Nobody cared. We were little kids.
No.
We're kids.
Even right up until like even now, in a way, I'm still a bit like that. You know,
I'm jealous because I'm the opposite. Now I'm like, I need to have a perfect, pristine copy to archive, and I need to have one to play. So it's like I've become so anal about that. You know? I wish I was like you more.
Well, I don't know. I think
multiple copy, and I collect multiple copies of the same record. It's really dumb, but it's just like I need to have every version. It's really obsessive, and that's like my philosophy. I get obsessed about something, and I go at it until I can complete it. You know, completist. Like, you know,
I'm a little bit obsessive, but like not like that. But like, so if I get into a band, I want to have every album by them.
Oh, that's
so it's like, say a band, I don't
know,
Tangerine Dream, or a band that has a lot of good albums, but they might have a lot of bad albums, but I still want them. Just to like
I was like that recently with Loud, you know the Japanese band Loudness?
Yeah.
Like Loudness?
Yeah,
dude. That record, one record I love by them. I'm trying to find it. I have it. That was another band. I had to buy all their records.
The first like 6 or 7 I have, and I haven't gone.
Disillusion. I can't find it right off the bat here. That's the one I love. But I love the hair metal ones too. I don't care.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I'd like. Oh, here it is.
All right.
Yeah, Disillusion. I love that record. The cover is so cool.
You know, there's a Japanese.
I love that it says. I love that it says Disillusion first.
Yes.
I love this Disillusion Loudness.
Yeah.
You know? That's a great Butterfly. It's such a great track.
Yeah.
But
album.
Yeah, that's like one you mentioned. Like you need every album. That immediately popped in my mind. Like
the way I
have like all the Loudness records.
Yeah, that's the way I kind of get obsessed. Not with like I need every version. More like I like this band. I need like every album by them. That's like my.
I do that too.
Yeah.
Yes, like Loudness. I don't need every version. I need every album.
Every album.
Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like. I actually saw them once in Queens, New York. There was a club called Lemoore East.
Oh, I've heard of
And so there was 2 Lemoores. There was Lemoores in Brooklyn where all the heavier bands like Slayer would play.
Right.
And Lemoore East is where like the hair metal bands. But I lived closer to Lemoore East. I lived like a mile away.
Right.
2 miles away. So it's easier to get to.
Yeah.
And I went one night and I thought it was another show. And turns out Loudness was playing.
Wow.
I said, I don't know who Loudness is. Let me check it out. And I was completely blown away by the guitarist, like Kira, like the guy was like Eddie Van Halen of Japan, right?
Yeah.
People still say that?
Yeah, well, he's like, he's a guitar hero,
Yeah, guitar hero. To me, I was like, this guy's like Eddie Van Halen of Japan.
Have you heard his solo?
I haven't.
It's pretty weird. There's a lot of different styles going on, but it's worth checking out.
That's cool though.
Yeah,
that's cool. I wouldn't want to have an Akira album where it's all like Loudness. I want him to be. I want to hear his take on guitar.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were amazing when I saw them, and I was like really blown away. And the crowd wasn't really that into it. They were a little bit. They were getting into it as it went on because they were kind of
warming up to
stupid. They were like, oh, they're from Japan. They weren't giving them a chance. But then once it kicked in, they started the Thunder in the East type stuff. It was good.
Is interesting, Andrew, because the same happened to me when I saw SOB in England. The crowd were not really getting into it, and it took a while. It was like, it was the same kind of thing, Great band.
SOB, unbelievable.
Obviously a killer band. This is like back in the late 80s when they were, at their kind of peak, you could say. But people were like, this band's kind of okay, but like it took a while for people to kind of like get used to it, or like it was.
Did like Napalm Death bring them over? Or
Like they toured twice with Napalm Death in England. Like
that's what I figured.
Yeah.
That would be like a bucket list show to see Napalm Death, and then back then in the heyday. Although I will say this, and it's not a popular opinion, I don't think. Napalm Death for me, I really love when Barney came in the band. Like I love the Death by Manipulation record because it has Barney and the other lineup on both on each side, so you get the best of both worlds. Kind of, Fido is incredible. It's highly influential to everybody and stuff. But I love that Death by Manipulation stuff when he first came in the band.
Leon,
it's kind of like it was like charged ahead. You know what I mean? Like really, like, so you know, and Utopia Banished, of course. You know.
Yeah, they're another band that's like kind of similar to Sick It All, really. Just
100%. They could do no wrong. Kind of, you know, they Diatribe is the one record in the list that you could probably just do. You know, even it's not that bad if you listen now.
Yeah,
you know, and there are a lot of records by them too in the mid period that are amazing. That only came out on CD.
Yes, yeah.
Like what's that one? I forgot the name of it. It's
one that has never been released on vinyl, and it's like
you know what I'm talking about, right?
It's like when they changed
Thrown down a rope,
like they didn't.
They changed the logo, but there's like a weird like guy on the front, like is it kind of green or something like that? I forgot the name of the record.
Yeah,
it's gonna bother me now.
We'll look it up. We'll look it up
later.
What do you think about like in our interview? I talked a little bit about like Discogs and all that kind of thing, about like, you know, the high prices of records these days and all that kind of thing.
I mean, what can we do except complain about it, right?
Well,
you can either choose to not buy them or buy them, right?
Yeah.
What I feel bad for is the younger collectors coming into the game now. Like, how are you going to buy, you know, a Misfits record? You know, how are you going to buy this?
Right.
You can't.
You can't.
One of these just sold for like 12 grand on eBay. Like, it's stupid. It's like, it's crazy. But it's like, these are like some wealthy guys who got into collecting, you know, and thinking, oh, look at it maybe as like an investment. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, that's what I think is sad, is younger kids can't get, you know, and you know, this is something that could perpetuate, because punk music is going to live on and keep going.
Yeah.
And people are still doing punk and hardcore bands and metal bands and stuff. Like, it's not going away. So there will always be an appetite for people to look back and say, oh, who are the bands that started this genre and really influenced everybody else, right? They're going to go back to the Misfits. They're going to go back to, you know, Black Flag. They're going to go back to, you know, Bad Brains and all those bands. And it's cost prohibitive for them to get them. But you know, the cool thing is there are reissues. You know, people can get that material still.
Yeah.
You know, the Misfits material is all widely available, albeit not on the 7-inch, but you can get it.
Yeah.
And you can listen to it, and you can find it the cool thing is a kid can go into a record store. It's not like what we were talking about before with Anthrax. You can't go buy that record in the store unless it's $50.
Yeah.
You know, they can go in and buy, you know, $18-20. They could buy a Misfits album, right? And you know, I was lucky back then. I bought a repress of Walk Among Us when I first started out, and I was like, wow, this blew me away. You know, I'm lucky I was able to buy this, you know.
Yeah.
And now it's stupid. It's like goes for money.
Yeah. I mean, records like those early Misfits records, you know, I do understand why they've, you know, risen in price.
Yeah, the singles, I understand.
The singles. Yeah. The thing that bothers me is kind of like more recent records that seem to be kind of like artificially inflated in price for no real particular reason.
That's another one for me. Like,
one is the thing that bothers me more than anything.
You miss out on a repress of like Crow or something like that,
and it's gone.
Then it's gone. Then you got to pay $80 to get it. Or something.
That kind of thing.
And it just came out 2 months ago.
Yeah,
it's manufactured rarity, you know. And it's not a dig on the label, because they're doing whatever they could do in their means to get it out.
I would say
kudos to them. Kudos to them for that.
Like labels like Prank and Havoc, they do press enough, but still people will like hoard them and you know.
People hoard them and then they resell them. They flip them, you know. And I can understand if you have it and you're like, oh, I need money, then you sell it. That's fine.
Yeah.
But it's like a lot of people buy like 2 copies or 3 copies, and they flip them. And there's a big thing in the whole Revelation scene of collecting is people will buy multiples of every single one and flip them. And, you know, and there's a lot of manufactured rarities now, like you were saying, there's like record stores have their own version. A record store in Europe has it. A record store in New York has it. A record store in California. Yeah. It's like, if you're a completist like me, it drives you nuts.
Yeah.
You know, because then how do you get all the versions? You know, it makes you like think at night. You're like, oh shit, I gotta get that. You know what I mean? It really bothers me, that kind of stuff. But I can't really complain. What?
That unreleased Crow record that Prank it's not out yet, but it's called Apocalypse. It's like unreleased Crow recordings from the 80s.
Yeah, I never heard that.
Well, it's been released in Japan, and it's going to be released by Prank in the USA.
Awesome.
Someone's already put it on like Discogs for $120 and only came out last month.
In Japan or in the US?
In the US, yeah.
So somebody got it from Japan.
Yeah, that kind of thing rubs me the wrong way. Like,
yeah, I won't partake in that stuff, you know,
no.
myself, you know. But
and if someone buys it and then it immediately pushes up the median price right away for absolutely no reason,
and then that's like the standard price, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's amongst friends. Oh, Mike, I have an extra copy. I'll sell it to you for like a little over what I paid for it. You know, that's different. You know, that's a good way to get them too sometimes. You know?
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, we can go all day on what bothers us about collecting.
I know.
But we're, you know, middle-aged and older, and we're still doing this. Still into it. So, you know, I'm very happy and lucky that I'm still collecting records. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I could still do it and still compete on that level. It's hard sometimes when, you know, I just recently got a record that was like impossible to find. To find that one. Hard Attack. Impossible to find. But I got it, and I got it for a decent price compared to what other people usually pay for it. So it is possible.
It is, yeah.
Oh, and I got one of these last year.
Oh wow.
So I got one of these last year, actually, you know, for a very decent price compared to what other people.
Was that like in the wild, or as we say?
On eBay.
On eBay.
There was one that was put up for like 10 grand, right? You see the one that sold for like 10 grand? I don't know if somebody actually paid for that one, but a different seller then listed this for a price lower, right?
Right.
And they had make an offer.
All right.
So I asked for pictures. I verified with like Roger Murray and a couple other people like that know the Misfits collecting and inside and out that it was legit. I made a fair offer, what I thought.
Yeah.
The person accepted my offer.
Wow.
That was it. I was shocked, you know, so, and that was it, you know, so that's the most I ever paid for a record, and, you know, we'll leave it at that.
All right.
We'll leave it at that. And, and, you know, my wife knows about it. So I'm not one of those guys that hides all that stuff. We're good. But, you know, listen, with Misfit stuff, I had that was the one I was missing on the single. So I have one of each single. I just don't have every version of every single.
Right.
I'm really not interested in going down that road unless I find it for a good price. But it's like with Misfits, don't be greedy. Be happy with what you have.
Yeah.
You have one of the singles, be happy. You know, if you get all the singles, and you know, don't hoard them. You know what I mean? Other people want them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, I mean, you know, something like that. People are going to hoard it and, you know, try to resell it later for, you know, high values and stuff.
Yeah.
And what can you do? There's nothing you can do. I mean, I might sell all my records one day. I don't know. You know,
we might.
You never know
what's going to happen.
Who knows what's going to happen?
Who knows? Right. Who knows? This was the most difficult question you asked me, and I'm going to ask this to you. And this was my choice. So the question was, a record that you can't live without, and I just wanted to be really, really strict with it. And so that I chose like GBH, like
That's
Leather Bristles, Studs and Acne, just because, I don't know, just because I wanted to just be like really brutal with it and just like narrow it down to the best hardcore 12-inch of all time. And like, so
yeah,
this is
I mean
a classic to me.
That is pure classic, man.
And you know,
and I could see why, because they're from your area. They're one of your bands, right? It kind of goes to what we talked about with you know, we talked about a band that you kind of was yours, you know, you came up with and stuff.
I know, you know, it's just a classic, and it's like a record that's not hard to get, and it's just like a record that just
you could buy it for $20.
I grew up with, and I just think if you kind of distilled hard punk down to like one record, this will be it.
Is that on clay? Is that one on clay?
It's clay, like original. It's Partied On, by the previous owner. It's been partied on by me as well. Again, you know.
My favorite GBH is the next one after that.
What's the next one? Midnight
City Baby.
Oh yeah.
City Baby Attacked by Rats.
Rats, first album. Yeah.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
That was the one that was. See, that record wasn't widely available to us.
Really?
I never. Maybe in the import section, which maybe I didn't look at, but City Baby was more widely pressed.
Right.
I think. And GBH would play in New York. I saw them a couple times.
Cool.
You know, they would always come over and play like the Ritz in New York City. So I did see them. They were incredible.
I've never. Well, I have seen.
And it was the City Baby era, so that they were playing a lot of those songs.
I didn't see him back in the day. I only saw them in recent times in Japan. You know. So.
Wow. Yeah. They're probably great.
They're still good, but I mean, I wish I'd seen them back in the day.
So if you want to ask me that question, I can't live without. There's so many. I mean,
I know, right?
Can I do two?
Go on then. Go on.
All right, I'll do that one.
Okay, nice.
I think for a 7-inch, that's like 7-inch. I can't live without. I got that a couple of years ago, and it was something I was hunting down for a long time. And LP, I got to go with this.
Oh,
because this is like something that was like part of. Like I really felt part of this when it came out. Right. Saw them a lot back then. You know, they were banned from CBGB, so we couldn't see them locally. So if you wanted to see Youth Decay, you had to drive to Connecticut. You had to drive to Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
You had to get your friends, and it was like an experience. You know what I mean? It was like really, and this record is just like a stone cold hardcore classic.
It is.
You know, all the way. So that's one of the records. I mean, I could pick 20 of them.
I know.
And I already showed you a bunch, you know,
I know.
Fest and stuff like that, and Slayer and all that stuff. You know, we can go. You and I could do a show about records we can't live without, right?
What we will.
Let's do it.
No, I just thought when you asked me that question, I just thought I was just gonna distill it right down to like just the kind of, you know, to just.
I love that you did that.
And then I was like,
I love that you did that.
I want to put all these in there too, but I was not. I'm just gonna keep it at that. And,
I interviewed my friend is the drummer from Sheer Terror.
What a band! What a great band!
Oh, amazing band. And my friend was a guitarist for a while too. He's not in the band anymore, but my friend Anthony is the drummer of Sheer Terror, and they actually played Japan. Did you see them last time they came?
I missed them. I didn't see them.
They'll be back. They love playing there, so they'll be back. But my friend Anthony, he's a record collector, the drummer, and he has like went to Disc Union and loaded up all those. He had like multiple bags of records and stuff. But I asked him that question, and the interview's coming out soon. But
nice.
He listed like 20 records.
I know,
and I'm like, I could so relate to that.
I know. I wanted to do that, but I was just like, that morning I was just like, I'm just gonna just go this one. That's it. And it was like, yeah.
Exactly. I was like, wow, Anthony, man.
Yeah.
That's like exactly what I would do.
Yeah. All right, man. I think a part 2, maybe a part 3 is on the cards.
Anytime, man. Anytime we'll do this again.
We've got so much to talk about.
And we can get deep into genres too if you want. We could do that.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do.
We will.
It's been a lot of fun, man. Thanks a lot, Mike.
Thanks, Andrew.
Peace.
Until next time, stay healthy and stay clean.
Stay clean.